The Auto China 2016 in Beijing is the biggest automotive trade fair in China this year. Automotive journalist Matas Kurat is amazed at how bustling it is. China has 1.3 billion people, and it seems to him they are all here in Beijing at the automobile show to see the newest developments, just like he is. Everyone keeps moving to avoid traffic jams in the trade fair halls in the Chinese capital. Auto China is held every 2 years, in alternation with Auto Shanghai. It is an absolute must for all manufacturers, whether Chinese or foreign. That goes for German car makers too. Mercedes is holding the world debut of its long version of its E-Class. Built in China and intended solely for the Chinese market, the more than 5-meter-long sedan offers plenty of space and comfort, especially in the rear seats. Another Mercedes premiere in Beijing is the new GLC Sport SUV.
Well, worldwide, but at least as much in China, SUVs continue to be very hot. We, in the first quarter, on a global basis, have seen a growth of more than 50% again. Here in China, basically the same is true, and we see everywhere this split between customers being more interested in the more traditional kind of SUVs and the lifestyle SUVs, and of course the coupe is addressing the latter segment of customers.
Mercedes does small as well as large. Its subsidiary Smart is presenting the Brabus, an especially sporty version of the little city runabout. It's a world premiere for a very special Audi too, the new TTRS, a sport coupe with a lot of oomph under the hood. The 5-cylinder engine produces a whopping 295 kilowatts. Audi's board member for sales and marketing, Dietmar Vogenreiter, is enthusiastic about the company's 5% growth in the first 3 months of 2016. More and more people are visiting the showrooms. Audi is releasing new models to gain a bigger share of the Chinese market and is optimistic. The interior of the TTRS also has a sporty design. Look at the cockpit and the red stitched bucket seats. It's also the Chinese premiere for the new A4L. Its wheelbase has been widened to 2.91 meters. That's 4 centimeters more than in the predecessor model. Sports car manufacturer Porsche too has a world premiere in the capital of the North. As the Chinese call Beijing, the Porsche 718 Cayman. Porsche executive Detlef van Platen notes that in the year 2000, his company sold about 200 cars in China. Last year, the figure rose to 58,000. The newly developed generation of Porsche Sport Coupe with medium power engine is more striking, sportier, and more efficient. Its naturally aspirated 6-cylinder boxer engine has been replaced with a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. The changes in the 718 Cayman are more than cosmetic. Many parts of the chassis have been redesigned. When Matas sees extinct treasures like this Borgward Isabella behind him, he hankers for the good old days, before he was born. And when he sees the new models from Borgward, a brand that has been revived with Chinese money, his nostalgia is even greater. Back then, the Borgward had a unique personality, but the BX5, BX6, and BX7 look like every other car today.
Wie BX5, BX6 oder BX7.
Volkswagen presents its new SUV with a mixture of show, dance, and music. T-Prime Concept GTE is the futuristic name of the big new vehicle. Volkswagen CEO Herbert Diess says the T-Prime anticipates the next generation of the Touareg. Here, it's a plug-in hybrid with a 50-kilometer range, which is very important for China. It has a seating combination tailored to the Chinese market. It's also the Chinese debut of numerous technical features, like a curved display, gesture control, automatic parking, and intersection assistant. Everything that VW's new generation has is in this car too. That may be the ideal vehicle for the Chinese market, where SUVs are rapidly increasing in importance. The T-Prime Concept GTE not only has many innovations, the design also sets new standards, especially in the interior. All the systems are controlled by touch, without buttons. But what the Asian manufacturers are presenting all seems to have been around for a while. The design borrows a lot from American and European car makers. Maybe there's something to the cliché that the Chinese have no qualms about copying. Mata says the design of many of the cars at the Chinese manufacturers' stands is a déjà vu, nothing fresh. But below the surface, the technology is modern. Many of these cars are electric, an important feature in a crowded megalopolis like Beijing. But many Chinese drivers want an SUV. The SUV market continues to boom, so it's helpful to find cooperation partners that can expand your vehicle range if you perhaps don't have the right model. That saves on development costs, and you can get the car onto the market sooner. Nissan is that kind of partner for Renault. The two companies have cooperated successfully for more than 15 years, so it's a mystery why Renault didn't make a Nissan Qashqai crossover sooner. But now they have. In every Renault Kjar, there's still a lot of the Qashqai technology. That offers advantages, since the Qashqai is now in its second generation, and the technology has been tried and tested. Renault only had to put its own branding on the car, which they've done successfully. The two models share 60% of the same parts, but 95% of what the driver can see and touch is exclusive to Renault. So the Kadjar has its own unique appearance, which is a good thing. The Kadjar is available with 3 different engine types, 1 gasoline and 2 diesels. The 4-cylinder gas engine has 96 kilowatts of power, which is more for sedate everyday driving. It's slow to accelerate, and then it's best kept happy in the high rev range. And no wonder, its maximum torque is 205 Newton meters. Unfortunately, this engine could really be a bit more powerful. The 96 kilowatts of power are definitely not enough for this gas engine. It probably would have to be at least the 96 kilowatt diesel engine in order to get this car to demonstrate some sportiness. You can tell that with the Kadjar, Renault has definitely done without sporty toughness, which means that it offers a fairly smooth ride. But the disadvantage is that you lose some contact with the road, something that other car makers in this segment have managed better. On the front end, your attention is grabbed by the big Renault rhombus on the grille and the LED daytime running lights that surround the headlamps. Extras include full LED headlights. The black bordered wheel wells and the optical skid plate up front are also typical design elements. The Kadjar has 472 liters of trunk space, which increases by another 1,000 liters with the back seat folded down, putting it in the same league as the VW Tiguan. The Kadjar's interior is decidedly modern. The digital display offers 5 different colors and 4 different designs to choose from, depending on your mood.
Der Renault Kjar.
The Kadjar can fit a family of 4, provided the kids aren't the size of basketball players. There's not enough legroom. Thanks to recesses in the front seats, you can just about manage to get your knees in. What is nice is that there's plenty of headroom, and for longer trips, there's a reading lamp for passengers in the back seat.
Oder die Erwachsenen, die hinten Platz nehmen müssen.
There are a couple of minus points, though, for the sightlines. The much-lauded unique design with a strongly curved hood that rises along the sides hinders the driver's view somewhat. It's hard to see past this part when parking, but there's a solution to that called the Renault Protection Pack. It costs €890 and features such niceties as a rear-view camera, 360-degree parking sensors, and even hands-free parking, in case you're not sure you can successfully park this big vehicle by yourself. So to summarize, with the Kadjar, Renault has brought out a visually distinct SUV of its own. Unfortunately, the Nissan Qashqai remains omnipresent, especially in terms of driving performance, which is really only moderate. The attractive interior can't distract from that, but maybe Nissan and Renault will soon agree on an expanded range of engines. Our car tester Michelle Assenmacher got her license several years ago, but her first car was a Mazda II. She has changed a lot since then, but her car hasn't. But Mazda has used the time in between to revise the compact. How much has changed in the new Mazda II? Since 2012, Mazda has adopted what it calls the Kodo design, which concentrates on character and contour lines. All of Mazda's models have been adapted to Kodo. The cab has been moved back, extending the hood, but the exterior isn't the only change the Kodo design involves. Michelle says the interior is different too. It seems markedly compressed, though not cramped. The central console is longer and there's lots more chrome. That makes the interior seem sportier and more youthful. Mazda's changes to the interior are in the details. In the sports line, the leather has red seams. Along with a sat-nav, the higher range packages make it possible to connect to the internet. The Mazda II is a bit bigger than its predecessor in all directions. The low front has full LED headlights. The front axle has moved 8 centimeters forward, while the A-pillar was set back. The back seat has plenty of room thanks to the widened wheelbase. We tested the Mazda II with the most powerful gasoline engine offered. Its 1.5 liters produce 85 kilowatts. This compact car accelerates to 100 kilometers an hour in 8.7 seconds. The sports line version we tested starts at €18,890 in Germany. Michelle says she felt right at home as soon as she got into the new Mazda II. She was a little disappointed that the car didn't accelerate from 0 as fast as she'd hoped, despite its more powerful engine. But at higher speeds, the difference in power was noticeable. The difference between Michelle's old Mazda II and the new one she's testing is 23 kilowatts. The new engine is designed to save fuel. Michelle says the new Mazda II is definitely an improvement over her old model, and it hasn't lost any of its charm. As soon as she took the driver's seat, she felt in place, as if in her familiar vehicle, and she thinks the new version is an eye-catcher.
Der neue ist auf jeden Fall ein Hingucker.
The new trend is a trend within a trend. While the SUV market continues to grow, many people are now thinking they don't need a huge vehicle. Compact is fine too. So the good old estate car is gaining ground again, enhanced with four-wheel drive. The VW Passat Alltrack fits the bill perfectly. From the big city to the wilds, the Passat Alltrack feels right at home on pavement and off-road. It's a crossover estate car SUV with variable all-wheel drive, adapted suspension, and enhanced underbody protection. It also comes with a range of drive modes. It is the only Passat to have not only eco and sport, but also off-road mode, which activates hill descent control, adapts accelerator responsiveness, and adjusts gear switching points to optimize off-road handling. The exterior has some detailing to make the car look more rugged and butch, such as the black protective trim and aluminum-look scuff plates. Still, the overall look is restrained, almost gentlemanly. With the back seats folded down, the boot is huge with a flat floor, perfect for an adventure vacation. The Alltrack is 2.75 centimeters higher off the road than are the regular models. It has bigger wheels and an off-road drive mode. It is well suited for adventures in the wild. The most powerful 2-liter diesel version yields 176 kilowatts and a maximum torque of 500 Newton meters, outperforming any other Passat. VW says its consumption is 5.8 liters per 100 kilometers. There's also a 162 kilowatt gasoline version and 3 other diesel versions. The Alltrack can pull quite a load, towing up to 2.2 metric tons. It also has a trailer assist system for reversing, though it takes some getting used to. You steer the car in reverse with a rearview mirror adjustment knob as a joystick. The system computes the angle between car and trailer or caravan. You work the accelerator. The system does the rest, but you still have to keep your eyes peeled. You don't want to get into any scrapes. The cockpit is typical Passat in design, and the feel is typical Volkswagen. The workmanship is good, as one would expect. The interior only sports a couple of Alltrack logos. The pedals are in chrome. You hardly feel the four-wheel drive, except when there is a loss of traction and power is shifted from the front to the rear axle in a split second. The Alltrack is kitted out with lots of nice equipment to enhance comfort, provide infotainment, and assist the driver. It also boasts the traffic monitoring system front assist with city emergency braking function and pedestrian detection. As to price, we are up in the Audi range. The top 240 horsepower diesel model costs more than 47,000 euros in Germany.
Mindestens 47.150 Euro.
While the 110 kilowatt diesel entry-level version of the Passat Alltrack costs under 40,000 in Germany. "2016 is an important year for the BMW Group. In March, it celebrated its 100th birthday. To mark the centenary, the BMW Museum in Munich has put on a temporary exhibition presenting the company's history as exemplified in 100 masterpieces that testified to the innovation and enterprise displayed in various epochs. The company started out making aeroplane engines in 1916. 7 years later, it started making motorcycles. In 1928, BMW's first car made its debut. The earliest models were small and contemporary in design. At the Berlin Motor Show in 1933, BMW presented the 303. It sported a new 6-cylinder inline engine. The interior was spacious. The saloon represented a shift from compact to mid-range models. The 303 was the first car to sport the kidney grille, which would become a typical BMW feature. It had a ladder frame made from tubular side members and box section cross members, which meant the car was unusually light. At the time, the consensus was that only heavy vehicles had good road holding. The director of the museum, Gabriele Fink, tells us that the exhibits come from all over. Some were donated by members of the BMW clubs. Many others were very generously made available by friends at various exhibition halls and museums. After the Second World War, the company had to reinvent itself in many respects. It only resumed making cars in 1952, but it was not very successful. The breakthrough came with the introduction of the 1500, unveiled in 1961 as the first model of what BMW called its new class. It was an eye-catcher with its modern dynamic styling. The new class as a whole proved a huge success, with more than 350,000 units sold by 1972. New class vehicles also took part in races, and often won. An old advertisement says, "Touring car races are to this day BMW's domain. The list of BMW successes keeps getting longer." Hubert Hannah won the European Touring Car Championship in 1966. He was the first to zip around the Nürburgring track in less than 10 minutes in a touring car. Between 1919 and 1970, BMW won 321 world records, 373 championships, and 6,287 gold medals, and booked 9,716 wins in various classes. The four-door sedan version of the 1500 with a new four-cylinder 80-horsepower engine was fast and sporty. By 1971, an entire model range had been created, with the top model packing 130 horsepower. Experience on the racetrack is useful for everyday driving, too. Validated in racing and reliability tests, and in everyday driving.
BMW.
In 1999, the BMW V12 LMR won the Le Mans Grand Prix. Pierluigi Martini drove the 580-horsepower beast in the grueling 24-hour race, 366 times around the circuit of 13.6 kilometers. It was the first Le Mans victory for BMW. These are just a few of the exciting stories and fabulous vehicles that can be enjoyed at the 100 Masterpieces exhibition at the BMW Museum in Munich.